Hello. Well, this is the second part of the process of making pretty much anything with slab building. And 24 hours ago, approximately, I rolled 4 slabs. And this time I'm using terracotta. I normally use white clay. And at this stage, the next thing to do is mark out the slabs with the components, with for the pieces that you want to make up your whatever you're making. So as an example, I'm using this new haunted house idea of mine, which is similar to other houses I make, but this is a bit more complex. It's in 2 stages. And what you have to do basically is break the house down into its component parts, and then I make a cardboard stencil. There's quite thick cards, so I can do it again and again and get more or less the same shape. This, for example, is the roof panel. Bear in mind that clay always shrinks about 8%, so that's the roof panel, which I usually try to do on a space where if I put a texture in the clay, like I did it on these slabs, and which is in the video on how to roll slabs by hand. I used a net curtain to put a texture in there, which you might be able to see. I'm not absolutely sure. And this, I use the texture doesn't come everywhere. It doesn't go evenly everywhere, and particularly around the edges, the pattern from the net curtain is quite weak. Well, for example, on these roof panels, since I use this thing to mark in what looks like tiles, basically, give that a tile effect. The pattern from the net curtain doesn't matter on the roof, so that's why I use where the pattern is weakest. It's not so important. So that would be the roof, and then coming down, this is the front panel, top, with the window there, and then I can use the same shape basically for the back, but I don't bother to mark in the window. Now I use this wonderful pointy tool, like a super pin, to mark. But at this stage the clay is a bit soft for cutting out, so I'll leave it another 24 hours before I cut them out. This is just marking, and there are some advantages of marking when it's quite soft. Now that's the front and back, and then the sides, these are the side panels. Right, again, only need one of those because they're the same. So coming down, I have one panel, so the top's getting quite hot. That's for the front piece, where I've got the door marked and the window marked. And this is for the back. Now, this is a standard size shape that I found works. It's big enough to slip a tea candle in, like that. So I mark it out with that, but also I add a little bit of decoration there. I've used one of these kind of cutting tools which you can buy in art shops. That's a sort of floral shape. It has 2 advantages. It's a bit easier to get your fingers in to get the old tea light out, and also when you're putting it in, I found that if I leave it like this shape, then you get a kind of scorch or burn mark there, which is not very nice. So if I open that up a little bit, it usually avoids that. It's quite nice. And these are the side panels for the front and for the lower part. Again, that shape is for the window, to give me an idea where to cut the windows. Now I kind of go steadily through the thing, see how many. Often I can't quite get 2 on there, but I have to. This is lucky because this slab is big enough for 4 roof panels and 2 of everything else. Enough that totals will make 2 houses. Now what I have to do, and what I started to do, is when I've drawn the box for the window, I need to sort of divide the window into two usually. Depends on the window, but I mark roughly where the centre is because it's easy to lose track before I do it, and then just do a line down there. It's just a detail. It's not too important. It doesn't have to be too accurate. I like it straight. Now, a little ruler. Now, having pressed this is made from plaster, gips in Slovene, and that's a very useful thing for making the rule, giving the effect of the tiles, which is quite nice. I do that on all the houses. And then for these round windows I use a sort of drill bit that I'm not using for wood anymore because it goes a bit blunt in clay, because it's sand. And then I put I've got rubber stamps with my insignia on. I press those in. And again, if I do it when the clay is still very soft, like after only 24 hours, then it's much easier to press these things in. I put my name. Traditionally I always put it under where you put the tea light in, right at the bottom there. So I've done all this already. These are rubber stamps you can get made up anywhere, or a lot of easy places, a lot of places that cut keys often do them or make signs. Now, the time-consuming thing, having pressed the numbers, I mean this is number 2037 and 2038. 20 just means it's 2020, and this is the 37th and 38th thing I have made so far this year. Okay, then I also cut round, we're using a small knife, where the tea lights go, so it'll pop out easily when it's all joined, but it'll stay in there until it's a bit stiffer. The other thing that I do, which takes all the time, which I wouldn't want, I wouldn't make you sit there and watch whilst I do all these windows, but what I have to do is that I use this wonderful tool. Again, I can't even remember where I bought it, but it's metal and it's about 5mm wide, and I use it simply to press the windows out, so I know I can get about 3 in here to cut the windows. And again, this is a lot easier if the clay is still nice and soft. So I'm marking those sides, and then I do the top and bottom of each window. I mean, these haunted houses have got quite a lot of windows, as you can see, so it takes a bit of time. It's the same principle construction of the way I make all the houses, it just takes a bit longer for this. These are the two little ones above the door. No, I like them, I don't quite know why, but I do. And then another one, usually I do them for 3, but this up a bit. It looked better if there's about 5 windows, for row of 5, 10 actually in total. All the rest are 3. I mean, I don't try to be too accurate or even with it, because I mean this kind of stuff is not really competing with factory made stuff from a mould, which will all be exactly the same. So it's quite nice. It brings a little bit more individuality into it and uniqueness, along with the number and different colours. Right, I'll do just this one, and I won't make you sit through all the rest. I just press through till I hit the board beneath. Now I don't pop these out now I wait until it's leather hard, and it can be up to a week, and then they just pop out very easily by pushing once the whole thing is joined. Now I will do the rest of those. I don't think I cut this one. It's just trying to cut this when it's constructed is a lot harder than doing it now. And it doesn't really matter if it pops out earlier. Okay, so that's it. Right, so the only other thing I do, and as I said, is I would normally, in the summer the clay dries a lot quicker and I might press them, mark them and cut them out on the same day. But it's still very soft, and if I cut it out, the thing I'm using to cut it with can leave marks. It's still very sensitive, the clay, and it can drag, you know, when you're trying to cut it straight. So I'll leave it another 24 hours before I cut them out. I won't make a video of that because it's not very, I don't really need to show you. It's just following the lines. It's also a good idea on the clay to leave on these things when you're marking up, to try and leave a few bits of blank clay not using, because for example you need to put a base in the bottom and you need a bit of clay for that, you know. Well, with this I need 2 bases, and also you need a little bit to make up these chimneys. So, you know, it's a good idea not to use all the clay, and if you use all 4 slabs and mark it out and you've got nothing left, then you've got no bases. So there you are. Anyway, thanks for watching. Next one will be assembling it.